Guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah and let's recap and review Real Housewives of Orange County. This is season 18, episode 12. So let's get into it. Normally I would do a spicy corner but it's too much going on. Okay? But I did the drama video. I'll put the thumbnail on the screen. It should be the video below this one. But it's too much going on, okay? You got everybody versus Tamra, because everybody been on Tamra next since last Wednesday, okay? They've been stomping her out, okay? And then you have, I think his name is Joel Kim Booster, the guy. He's supposed to be hosting that dating show that what's her name? Shannon is supposed to be on. He blasted Shannon all yesterday, which would be Sunday. Like either Sunday or Saturday, but either way, he was going off on Shannon, basically saying that she was treating staff and everybody wrong. So if you want to know my thoughts about that, definitely check out that video. The timestamps are in the comment section. I pinned it, but yeah, it was too much. It was too much, and I couldn't do no spicy corner on that. We would have been here for like 2 hours. I can't. Y'all know I'm long-winded, but let's get into this review. Talk about this episode. So it opens up and we have two conversations going on at once. You have Ryan and Jen at like a men's store to buy him some new outfits to update his wardrobe. And then you have Tamara and Eddie at the house and they're talking. So let's start off with Ryan and Jen. So Ryan and Jen are at this men's warehouse, whatever you want to call it. They update his style. Ryan dresses like he's stuck in 2006 and I don't understand. Like the whole pop collar, the acid wash jean jackets, you know, the acid wash jeans with the paint dripping on it. Like I don't remember people dressing like that since I was like in elementary school or middle school. And that's when I went to, like, I was in school during that time. I was in elementary school in the early 2000s. So it's just kind of like and then when Jim was like, he gets everything tailored, I said, how? Because everything Ryan has on to me looks like it's a size too small. So are you buying mediums and getting them tailored? Like, what are we doing, Ryan? So while they're there, the sales associate's being messy because she brought up this jacket that Ryan had on, saying that Eddie had one on. And I was like, girl, production tell you to say that? Because why was that needed? Because what if he didn't know Eddie and Tamara? What was the point of that? So pretty much Jen wants Ryan to have a conversation with Eddie. We find out that Katie is having like this couples dinner where majority of the cast is going except Heather, Gina, and Shannon. And so she's like, I want you to have a conversation with him because we find out about this podcast. So Ryan did a podcast with All About the Truth where he pretty much said some disparaging things about Eddie and Tamara. He said that, you know, when I was working out at their gym, a lot of the people who patron their gym would come up to me and they really didn't have anything really nice to say about Eddie or Tamara. And then he also said something about her being a parent in the sense of saying, like, the person asks, like, do you think Tamara is really like hating on you and Jen's relationship because she doesn't have what y'all have? And Ryan said, you know, I can't speak to that, but pretty much he kind of agreed in a way. So Jen is like telling Ryan, her and Tamara were kind of in a place of moving forward before all this podcast nonsense came, because she was just like, you know, we had that situation at Big Bear and we actually see a flashback scene where they talk and Tamara is crying. She apologized to Jen for her behavior of last season and Jen was willing to move forward. They do another flashback of, you know, when Tamara was airing out Ryan in front of Jen when they was in Mexico and she was like, why are you doing this? And like she had her moment. And so Jen is like, I really like Eddie. Like, me and Eddie have been friends for a long time, and I want you guys to work it out. I respect him. He's a nice guy. I just want you guys to figure something out. And Ryan said something like, I stand on what I said. And he was like, I ain't got no problems with Eddie because he's not a man. And I'm like, why do you think he's not a man? Like, Ryan kept saying that, and I didn't like it because it screamed kind of like homophobic to me. Because I'm like, why do you think he's not a man? Like, express to me why you think he's not a man. Do you think he's not a man because you think Tamara walks all over him? Or what else? Because we're not going to act like those gay rumors about Eddie are not out there. And people saying, like, how he got to America. Like, we know there's stories and rumors about Eddie that's out there. But I'm like, if you're saying he's not a man because he's gay, you're lame because he's a man. Gay or not, he's a man. So what are we talking about? What do we talk about Eddie? So Eddie's like, yeah, I could talk to them. So then we flashback, we not flashback, we switch over to Tamara and Eddie having a conversation. And Eddie pretty much is like, he ain't really got nothing to say to Ryan. He don't want to run talk to Ryan. He don't really want to work it out. He was like, he loves Jen. He cares about Jen. But he was like, I want no parts of Ryan. He was like, I should have Googled Ryan before I ever even like decided to get to know the guy. And Tamara ends up saying that, like, everything was fine before this whole podcast. And I can't believe they were talking about the podcast when they were at that dinner that Gina threw like several episodes ago, because they show us a flashback of Tamara telling Jen that Eddie was not happy about what Ryan said about the podcast, how he was trashing her and everything. And so they just don't really have it to do for Ryan about now. And they're just kind of like, we said what we said. Ryan is like, I said what I said, and it is what it is. Tamara feels like, bro, why you even getting into this? Like, I think Tamara's whole standpoint is like, this is Housewives. This is the name of the game. Like you want to get into women's business, like, let's go. But I'm also like, you can't constantly dog and talk bad about somebody and not think that they're going to react, male or female. Like, you talking trash about me and you a man, I'm going to talk trash about you. If you're a woman, I'm going to talk trash. If you're non-binary, I'm going to talk trash about you. Like, if you're talking trash about me, I'm coming back. It doesn't matter how you identify yourself. So I don't fault Ryan too much about being like, you know what, I'm sick of y'all talking about me, saying that I'm a blaring red flag. I'm going to stand up for myself. But what I don't like is how fans are now trying to rewrite history because they don't like Tamara and they like the fact that Ryan is standing up to Tamara, because we're not going to act like nobody, like we all didn't feel like Ryan was a red flag last season. He's still a red flag this season. That man's name is attached to a federal case. The FBI don't just be putting random names in federal cases, y'all. Okay, he did something. Okay, he's attached to this in some way. On top of that, Ryan cannot explain to us what he does for a job. We'll talk about that scene where he sat down with Matt. That man was rambling and Matt was looking at him like, okay. On top of that, why are we acting like he didn't cheat on Jen last season? He cheated on her. He was playing in her face. They took that little break. And then next thing you know, he's sleeping with some other girl that he been possibly talking to on the side. I get it. Y'all don't like Tamara. I'm not too fond of Tamara. But what I'm not about to do is rewrite history just because I don't like the person that's beefing. Okay. That's one thing I'll give reality TV. It has taught me how to look at a situation and check myself and be like, do I like this person because I genuinely like this person and their character or like what they represent? Or do I like this person because they're beefing or in spite of somebody else? That means you genuinely don't like them. We saw what happened to Monique. Everybody was praising Monique on Real Housewives of Potomac until she got on Love and Marriage DC, and then that ship sank hard. Okay, because people only liked Monique because she was adversaries against Candace, Robin, and Giselle. That's it. And when she didn't have that, people saw her for who she was and was like, yeah, I don't like that broad. So I'm not about to do this with y'all and Tamara and Eddie and Ryan and Shannon. So we go to Shannon's house. She's on FaceTime with one of her daughters. I think it's her middle child. And she's just catching her daughter up on what's going on in her life. She tells her about how she had a good time at the Dos Amigas show with Vicky. Honestly, it didn't look that fun to me, but hey, it's just me. And she's just like, it was such a good time and she can't wait to do another show. She also tells her daughter about the lawsuit where she's like, I offered him $75,000. All he had to do was sign an NDA, but he's not trying to sign it. Her daughter's like, that's gross. Then they do the flashback scene where Shannon is like, I talked to my lawyer, and my lawyer was like, they're pretty much confirming that they're holding on to these videos for blackmail purposes, just in case you go off the rails. And so Shannon is in her confessional being like, I already thought I hit rock bottom, but I guess John and everybody else wants to push me further, and I can't take it no more. I can't take it. So the screen goes black and then it says later that day, and we switch from that scene after it says later that day and we go to Tamara's house, and Tamara's like, OMG, like she's like, it's going down basement. Okay. And she's like on the phone, like trying to call Shannon because she just saw that People Magazine put out the article about John filing a lawsuit against Shannon. So like she's calling Shannon, Shannon doesn't pick up. Tamara says in her confessional, and now it makes sense why Alexis was being so weird the other day, like at Jen's house, because she knew this was coming and she didn't know like that's why she was feeling some type of way and acting all wacky and stuff like that. So Tamara tries to call Shannon again. Shannon doesn't pick up, but then Shannon accidentally calls Tamara back and she butt dials her. And basically, you hear Shannon like hysterical on the phone being like, I'm overwhelmed, this is too much, I'm panicking, I know for a fact Alexis's publicist did this, she put them up to this, like I can't take it no more, I can't do it. And you hear Tamara be like, Shannon, and then you see her tell production, I think she butt dialed me. So then she hangs up and immediately calls Heather. And Tamara's like, did you see what happened? Did you see what's on the news? And Heather's like, what do you mean what's on the news? And she said, girl, Jim just released an article in People Magazine about Shannon. And Heather's like, are you serious? Like, what does John want from her? And we see a confessional of Heather where she's just like, John is always talking about like how he didn't want to be like in the public. Like, this is counterintuitive. Like, you're putting a lawsuit out here, you gave it to People Magazine, this is like, bro, like now you're in the public, like what are you doing? And she's like, I don't get what Alexis is trying to do, I don't get why John is doing this, I don't get it no more, like I don't understand. Tamara says she doesn't feel like Alexis's publicist did anything or Alexis did anything. She's just like, it's a public case, like of course somebody was going to end up picking it up. Now I can give Tamara a little bit of credit because the way they be doing them people in Atlanta, the Fulton County court documents, girl, don't get in trouble in Atlanta, especially Fulton County, because everything that happens on Real Housewives of Atlanta as it pertains to like court documents or like people being in court, always on the blogs. Anybody that's in Atlanta that gets in trouble with the authorities, people be pulling up them lawsuits quick. So I mean, like, Tamara isn't wrong that like eventually somebody was going to make an article about it, but it does feel like John went directly to them. And like Heather said, you were complaining about being in the spotlight. You don't think putting your article in People Magazine, like Tamara said, which is a credible magazine, a huge platform, wasn't going to have people like now wanting to know more about the case and wasn't going to thrust you into the spotlight? It's not making sense, John. It's not. It really is. We have is of Gina, her ex-husband, and his fiance. We find out that they're getting married. We actually see a scene of Gina telling her parents that they're getting married, and her mama was like, "Is she pregnant? Is that why they getting married?" I don't know. That made me laugh. And she's actually really happy for them. But in the confessional, she actually kind of gets sad because she's just like, "I'm happy that my ex is moving on and that I'm in a good place with him and that I like his fiance or his soon-to-be wife. But I wish I had the same thing." And like, I think it's her husband. No, it's her ex-husband, Zach or Matt. I'm just keep calling him Gina's ex. Gina's ex ends up saying that he really likes Travis. So he's like, I hope you guys can like work it out. His fiance is just like, I'm happy that I have you, as like, a baby mama, because me and you get along. And Gina is like, you're lucky because I wish I had me, because the stuff that Travis is going through, I can't do it no more. And she's just like, she wished that she could speak more about the situation, but everything is so legal. And she was just like, his ex is just making it really hard for him to co-parent or for us to move forward. And I'm wondering, with Gina speaking so freely about how hard the ex is being, is she going to come out and say something? Probably not, because she hasn't said anything as of late. So I don't think she's going to say anything. But yeah, I'm wondering. Also, Gina, don't ever let the person that did your hair do your hair again, because you had two different hairstyles. On one side, I guess like her hair deflated and it didn't look that bad. But on the other, you see her with a confessional where it's still pumped up, like she in a hair, like in one of my favorite musicals, Hairspray. It was just so much going on. So much going on, bro. We also find out that the kids did like a cute little, I guess you would call it cute, I don't know about that. They did a mock wedding for Travis and Gina. And I'm like, did your kids really do this, or did you put them up to this? Because I don't think kids would do that, but it's just me. That's just me. about this dinner. Katie stressed. Katie says she don't want nobody in her house breaking her good $80 wine glasses. She just like she don't want none of that. She's sitting in the kitchen like I hope nothing goes down. Everybody pulls up to the party. Jen and Ryan are the last ones to get there. You got Emily in the confessional kind of excited because she's like they two pretty big men. It's like two bulls in a china shop. I'm kind of interested in seeing what goes down. I said you're messy, Emily, but I'd have been the same way. So as they're sitting there, you have Ryan go up to Eddie and he tries to talk to Eddie, like be like, hey dude, how you doing? Tries to hug him and Eddie's like, I'm good on you. And he was like, Ryan's like, are you hiding from me? Because Eddie walks away and Eddie's like, I'm not hiding from you. I just don't want to talk to you. So then you have this scene of Eddie talking to Shane and Shane's like, y'all good? And he's like, yeah, man, I just don't want to, I'm not dealing with him. I'm not dealing with him. So then you see Tamara and Emily talking where Tamara was like, did you see like Ryan and Eddie? Like he didn't even talk to Eddie. Like Eddie didn't even talk to Ryan. And Emily's like, yeah, I don't think my husband would want to talk to anybody that talk negatively about me. And then Tamara ends up calling Ryan a bitch. And you know how Emily feels about that word because then they do a flashback of when Kelly Dodd called Shane the B word. And Emily's like, I will kill, that's my husband, I will kill, yeah. Like Emily was pissed. And when that finger was pointing, she was in that girl's face. I said, Emily might pop you. You better chill out. She love her little man. She love her husband. So, Emily's like, yeah, so I understand. You then see Jen and Ryan walk away, and Jen is like, did he talk to you? And, Ryan's like, no, he's a clown. He's a bitch. He's a baby bitch. So I'm like, y'all, and the B word is just the flying out of y'all tonight. Okay, I see just going everywhere. So we then get this scene of Ryan sitting down with Matt, Katie's husband, and he's like, oh, so what you do for a living? What you do for a living? And Ryan said something about like real estate, but then as he kept talking, it was basically a word salad of he can't tell you what he really does, which gives scam. It gives fraud. Like I told y'all, ever since we met Ryan, he gives snake oil salesman to me. The same way I feel about Louis, Teresa's husband, just snake oil salesman. Like when you can't articulate or explain to somebody what you do for a living in like a neat, like two, like maybe 3-word sentence, like not 3 words, but 3 sentences or less, then that makes me feel like you don't really do anything and you be doing things. You know what I mean? And so I'm just like, yeah, no, Ryan, no. So we then see Eddie in the kitchen with Tamara telling her to pace herself as she drinks. We all know Tamara uses alcohol as liquid courage, and she was drinking a lot that day. You end up seeing her get drinks for her and Emily because Matt is making drinks, but she has like one in a martini glass, and I guess it was filled to the top. She's like trying to dip one glass in the other one and it's spilling. And so Jen is like, the last time Tamara was this drunk, I got a napkin in my face. And that's when you should have known, Jen, Tamara was not your friend, because anybody that was your friend wouldn't just be throwing things in your face. And honestly, you had every right to douse her in the face with a drink or grab that napkin and peck her in the face with it. Or when she got up, you should have got up and been like, what we doing? What we doing? Because if you want to get up, I'm going to get up too. So you got to start. Get that backbone, girl. This episode really didn't do Tamara any favors as it pertains to drinking, because we all know Tamara drink too. Like she wouldn't be a part of Tres Amigas if she wasn't whooping it up like the rest of them. But it does make her look bad because you've been on Shannon's neck since episode 1. But now we have your husband telling you to pace yourself, as well as him telling Matt, hey, don't give her nothing else to drink. Like when your husband has to do that, that kind of says a lot. And it also says that when you get drunk, you start acting out of pocket. But Tamara has been very vocal about like when she's on the show, she drinks more. She said it on her podcast. I've even heard her say it in interviews. So it's just like, yeah, girl, we know how you get down. We know how you get down. So they end up sitting down at the table, and Tamara brings up how crazy Alexis was acting at Jen's house. And everyone's like, yeah, the girls that were there, like, yeah, she was definitely, it was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot. So Emily ends up saying, had Alexis not been there, maybe her and Heather could have had a conversation. But it's just like Alexis was doing a lot, and it just kept heightening or like hyping up the situation. And Jen agrees and was like, yeah, I think had she not been there, you and Heather could have had a conversation. And Emily was like, I could have pulled her to the side. But my thing is like, Emily, you should have pulled her to the side in the beginning. If you're saying that you're not trying to blame her, then why try to have this conversation in front of everybody to like shame her? Because that's what you were doing. You wanted everybody to be like your support system as you went up against Heather. When if you really had the issue and you really didn't think she did it on purpose, then you could have had a quiet conversation or a text message conversation. It didn't need to be all it is. So then, Emily starts to cry, being like, it's a lot. Like when I'm going to the gym every day, she points to Ryan and she was like, you see me at the gym all the time. And she's just like, and it's like two people in a dress, one's in a size 2 and I'm in a size 12. Like, doesn't that mess with your psyche? And I'm like, girl, what's wrong with a size 12? I think the average like American woman is in like a 14 or higher. So I'm just like, what is like, and I was like, the thing is like Emily looks good. That's the part that's so irritating. It's like, it'd be different if you were fat and sloppy, but you're not. Even when you were big, you weren't fat and sloppy. You were just bigger than the other girls, but you're just a bigger woman. You're a glamazon. Like, honestly, if you would tap into that, you probably would receive so much more positive energy coming towards you than you constantly being mean and negative, girl. And so she starts like tearing up, and Tamara ends up apologizing to her, being like, I didn't get it then, but I get it now. And I do sincerely apologize from the bottom of my heart. Tamara says in her confessional, it is hard when you're working out all the time and then in Orange County, you see everybody in a size 0. They didn't do a flashback of when Eddie and Tamara took her body weight, Emily's body weight, and she was like, I think she scored like a 40, so she was technically like obese or like, I don't know. I just, you know, it's hard for me when it comes to Emily because I feel like Emily does this every season where it's her insecurities become somebody else's like problem, and I just wish she would just actually work them out, because there's at times when Emily is actually really like fun, and she, even when she's critical of a situation, she's honest about it, but then she does these things and it's just kind of off-putting because I'm just like, girl, she didn't shame you, she wasn't trying to shame you. Like, I think you just feel that way. So then as they kept talking, they end up getting on the topic of conversation about Shannon and the People magazine and all of that stuff. And Tamara ends up telling them about how she called Shannon about the People magazine and how what's it called? How Shannon butt dialed her, and she says, she was hysterical. She blamed Alexis for all of this and Alexis' PR team. And Katie chimes in. Katie says, I don't really fault Shannon. I would think the same thing. Like, Alexis and her husband sued her, and then now Alexis is with her ex, and now she getting sued. Like, you could kind of put 2 and 2 together. And then they show us a confession of Shannon where Shannon says she 100% believes that Alexis' PR team is the reason why there's a People magazine article, because she said when the situation between Alexis' ex-husband, Jim Bellino, and Tamara and Shannon happened, like, I guess the complaints that he put out, they were already in the paper or in the tabloids. Like, that's how they found out what was going on. They didn't even get a heads up. And she feels like Alexis's PR team is behind this. So then Tamara asks everybody at the table, like, would you just pay the $75,000 and like go on about your life? And everyone's like, ah. And then Emily chimes in, and Emily is like, well, she did offer to pay him, but he had the full amount, but he had to sign an NDA. And everyone's like, yeah, I would just sign the NDA and get my money. Like, even Tamara was like, yeah, I would have just signed it and kept it pushing. And Emily is in her confessional. She was like, if John was my client, I would tell him to take the money and sign the NDA and then ride off into the sunset with Alexis. You doing all of this just doesn't make sense. And then we finally see Shane using his good lawyer skills and he ends up being like, yeah, pretty much, like, explaining to everybody what's going on. He was like, they're trying to sue her for defamation. Technically, he should have just took the lawsuit. Like, he shouldn't have filed a lawsuit. He should have just took the money. But an NDA is kind of a big deal, especially if you still want to keep talking. So Shane is like, I kind of get why he didn't sign it, but also He doing a lot. So while that was happening, we end up seeing Shannon. It was gross. She was using like a neti pot, blowing out her nose, and she just looks like a wounded bird. Like Alexis says, I am a broken bird. A broken bird. That's what Shannon really looks like. She's blowing her nose. She's getting into bed. In her confessional, she's just like, she feels like she's being bombarded by all these things. And she was like, I'm alone. Like, my kids don't live with me. I don't have somebody. She says, I'm alone by choice. But then when she said it, you can tell that she really didn't mean it. Like, she was just like, all I have is Archie. And we see Archie, her dog, get in bed with her and they go to sleep. And she's just like, she doesn't really know what she's going to do. What I didn't like is like, after they had that conversation about Shannon, because it goes back to Katie's party, they were all kind of laughing when somebody was like, oh, did you record it, Tamara? Do you got any more for us? Do you have more receipts? I was like, y'all, this is not funny. Like, it's funny, but it's not funny. It's like that TikTok sign. I said, ha ha ha, funny, but ha ha funny, weird. Like, it's a lot going on that, like, I don't think this is a laughing matter. Like, she's struggling. The lady, you hear the lady's crying on the phone saying she overwhelmed. She's struggling. So let's talk about it. So Tamara asked everybody, can we address the elephant in the room? Katie's sitting there like, Lord, please, please. So they're like, what elephant? Because we got several elephants. And Tamara's like, the podcast. So then Jen is like, that's a pretty big elephant. So Tamara's like, did you really get on that? Like, why did you go on that podcast talking negatively about me as a parent and negatively about Eddie as a businessman? And Jen is like, he didn't say anything negative about Eddie as a businessman. And they play the clips and it kind of insinuates it does, because you basically said that nobody had anything positive to say about him at his gym. Like, could cause someone to question, like, were they saying about how he ran his gym or him as a person? So I could get Tamara being like, no, you talked about him being bad as a businessman. And so Jen is like, no, he didn't. And Tamara's like, yes, he did. And they play the clip. And so Ryan is like, everything I said, like, I felt like it's justified, especially because y'all been talking about me for since last year. And so Katie is like, Lord, girl. All the while this whole situation is happening, her husband is just sitting there. I know in his mind he was like, these people are never being invited to my house again. Never again. Never again. So Tamara is like, no, you really did trash us. You talked about me as a mother. You talked about Eddie as this and as that. I'm looking at Jen like, did you not listen to it? Because he did make comments like that. So they're going back and forth. And Ryan is like, well, I want to know about Eddie lying on me. And Eddie was like, when did I lie? When did I lie? And then Ryan is like, you said that you was at a cookout at my house. A guy came up to you and said, watch your wife around Ryan because he sleeps with married women. And Tamara is like, yeah, that did happen. And Ryan's like, no, it didn't. And Eddie was like, what do I have to lie for? Like, what do I have to lie for? That definitely happened. So Ryan is like, I'm looking at you as a man, like, why didn't you come talk to me about it? And so Tamara's in her confessional being like, first of all, that's your MO. Everybody knows that you sleep with married women. And that is true, because I'm not saying true that he sleeps with married women, but we all knew that Ryan was the town whore because of last season. Even Emily was like, Shane's mom, who works at the same gym, everyone talks about Ryan. So it's like, why are we trying to rewrite history like Ryan, like that wasn't the narrative out there that he be in these streets? Okay, so Ryan is like, why didn't you come to me? And Eddie's like, because I wasn't threatened by you and I didn't feel the need to. And Ryan's like, as a man, you should have came to me. And Eddie's like, I didn't have to do all of that. So as they're sitting there, Tamara's starting to get way more amped because Jen is like, what are you trying to get at, Tamara? And Tamara's like, yo, man was talking trash about me. And like, I don't like it. And I thought we was beyond this. So then Tamara really goes in because she was like, you brought up my kid. And Jen is like, what do you mean? And Tamara's like, you posted that screenshot of my son. Now, they posted the screenshot where Ryan has, it says DC dickpics.shop, and it says the only Ryan whose behavior Tamara should be concerned with, and it's her son. And Tamara's like, when you talk bad about my son, like, all bets are off. And Ryan is like, all I posted was, you need to be worried about your own son. That's the only Ryan you should be worried about. And Tamara brings up, like, you posted that thing, a link to my son's penis pic, like that, like that's what that was about. And Jen is like, what? And she's like, yeah, that's what you did. Like you were comparing penis pics because Tamara says back when Ryan was like 18 years old, he sent a nude to a girl and then the girl sent the nude to the tabloids. So it's out there. So Ryan brought that up. And Ryan was like, I don't know, Ryan. I don't know who he is. He was like, I was just saying, like, the only Ryan you need to be worried about is your son and not me. And my thing about it is Ryan is a grown man. Like, it'd be different if, like, Ryan was, like, 17 or 18 years old. But Ryan, I think, is, like, in his, like, mid or early 30s. Like, yeah, I think Ryan is, like, yeah, probably in his mid 30s. Like, girl, he a grown man. He a grown man. So Ryan is like, that's who I was talking about. Like I wasn't talking about you as a kid. And so they start going back and forth. Tamara calls Brian a B again, calls him a bitch again. And Emily is like, Tamara, because you know Emily does not like that. And so then Jen gets pissed and she's like, Eddie, why aren't you sticking up? Like, why aren't you checking her? Why aren't you doing this? And so Eddie is like, am I her keeper? Like, I'm not, but then Eddie lost points for me when he kept trying to push Tamara's face, telling Tamara to like, let it go, let it go. And I'm like, first of all, don't be touching my face. And if I'm fighting with somebody, shut up or have my back. If you don't agree with me, just be quiet and then tell me at the house. But don't be trying to reprimand me in front of everybody. Don't do that. Don't do that. So then Eddie is like, after, Tamara called, no, Ryan is like, after Tamara calls him to be like, how old are you? Like, is that how we conduct ourselves at a dinner function? But then production flashes back, like, you just called this man a baby bitch about 2 hours ago. So what we really talking about? Like, hypocrisy, Ryan. So they're going back and forth. And so then Tamara's like, well, how about the FBI, Ryan? How about you worry about the FBI instead of me? And so Ryan's like, what FBI? And then Jenna's like, the FBI, what is Tamara talking about? Even in her confessional, she's like, what is Tamara talking about? So Tamara in her confessional saying that she has known for 6 months that Ryan's house got raided by the FBI. And, you know, Jen has come out and Ryan have both come out. Definitely check out the drama video saying that was a lie, that Ryan's house was not raided 6 months ago. And that's why they're bringing up the defamation situation against Tamara, as well as what she said on Watch What Happens Live. And then Emily in her confessional was like, well, I have seen and read articles about Ryan's name being attached to this FBI case. Like, how many times, like, where there's smoke, there definitely is fire. So, like, something might be coming down the pipeline. So Eddie ends up sitting at the table because Tamara is just like, she over it. That's strike number 2, Eddie. Because when you grabbed your wife's face, that was strike number 1. Strike number 2, you sat at that table while she left. You should have got your happy dappy self up and followed your wife outside. But Tamara's like, I'm done with this. I don't want to deal with this no more. Like, everyone's going to really see who the real Ryan is. And so Ryan is in his confessional being like, Tamara only hates on people when they're happy. He's like, Eddie's unemployed. And, you know, and she's working and all of this stuff. They're in a loveless marriage and this and that. Their marriage is a sham. And so we end up seeing Tamara walk, but she trips because she's drunk and she forgot that there was a step in the backyard and she falls down. But she was like, F this. And then she slams the door. And that's how the episode ends. That was the end of the episode. Yeah, I'm not changing my opinion on Ryan. I'm just not. Like, I get y'all don't like Tamara. Like I said, I'm not that fond of Tamara, but I'm not about to rewrite history like he's some great guy. That man definitely gives me snake oil salesman. He gives me charlatan. He gives me scammer. He gives them vibes. And his name being attached to that case tells me like there's something going on there. And with Ryan not being able to communicate what he actually does for a living gives me pause. That man is a walking red flag. Just, it is what it is. But I get it. People don't like Tamara and people are happy to see everybody coming at Tamara all at once. So you got there. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, y'all, as always, remember to be bravely authentic. Definitely hop down in them comments below and share your thoughts. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.